Hello and welcome to the Rankers Podcast, a bi-weekly show where we literally, as Nick says, literally rank anything and everything. No categories, no genres, two best friends ranking it up. Here we are. My name's Jacob.
Two best friends ranking it up. You all right? And my name is Nick. What is up,
Let's
Jacob? How's it going?
rank them. I'm doing good,
You're so
Nick.
thrown
How are
off.
you?
You're like, what is this dude doing?
You're good,
I'm
man.
doing
We're good.
good.
We're just popping. We're just out here. We're
Dude,
popping.
we're popping.
That kind of
We're
thing.
we're we're getting to down to business, bro. How's
It
been life? Business, life, work, job,
life
wife,
life
life.
has been good. Life has been really good. We're just killing it out here. And ready to talk about another food episode.
Dude, I love food. So what could go wrong?
Well, I don't really like the food episodes have to be the most subjective episodes out of all the ones that we do because it's
Yeah.
like there is literally food out there for everybody. And some people don't like something and they do like another, and everybody has different tastes, literally. And so this is super
No pun
subjective.
intended.
No pun intended at all.
Well, and that's the point, that there are so many foods out there in different cultures and all that. So with that to say, when I say different cultures and food, what are we ranking today, Mr. Jacob?
So today, let me clarify by the name if you clicked on the episode, but we're doing top 5 international foods. And so what that
Ta-da!
means is me and Nick are going to be ranking our top 5, basically, um, international cuisines, like the type of food that we like that's not originated in America. Well, I don't
Correct.
want to say that because there's some, like, I do know, I have heard of some like international foods that actually like originated in a different place. So I'm not going to say that I know all the facts on that, but this is mainstream. Like we've got like
Yeah, we're talking mainstream here, people. We're not out here trying
Chinese,
to say this
Mexican,
was,
that kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff, right? And so we're going to
Yep.
do our top 5 of that. And that it's going to be a lot of fun because me and Nick both love food. And
Right.
there's a couple things that
Eaters of food.
I'll get into when I get into my list. But first,
All right.
guys, to like we do every
And
episode,
gals.
if you have not followed us on social media yet, Instagram is the
Hit
place
us
where we're
up.
most active, and you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Both you can search the Rankers Podcast. If you don't do social media, you can email us at therankerspodcast@gmail.com, and you can now actually
Heck yeah.
watch me and Nick and listen to me and Nick on the YouTube. So you can just look up the Rankers
OIT.
Podcast and watch our episodes if you don't do podcasts or anything like that.
And I will say, I watched one of our last episodes on YouTube, and it looked good. It sounded good. So I mean, guys, gals, if you about that life on YouTube, it's a good platform to get started on. And also, it'll help us out a little bit because we're new to the YouTube platform, and so just helping us get some views on there and some likes, that would be much appreciated. So
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of views and likes, definitely rate and review us if you can. If you haven't already on Apple Podcasts, you can rate and review us. You can also rate and review now on Spotify or any of the other platforms that allow that. So please make sure and do that if you haven't already. That's super helpful for us. And we will get into it. You ready, Nick?
yeah, dude, let's get into it.
All right. You want to start us off with your number 5?
Yeah, I definitely will. So, international foods we have today. Again, this is top 5. So, this is essentially international foods that we like, or at least have had to a certain extent. Um, but if I had to give my number 5, which I do have to,
You do.
is Indian food. You
Indian
do.
food.
Indian food. So quick background to Indian food before I get into a little bit of it. Well, first off, I'll go ahead and say that we're just going to give, like, for each category, I know that Jacob and I are probably going to allude to a couple of dishes that we like, or the reason why we like this type of international food. So you can expect that. But so my sister Katie, shout out Katie, she's the one that has been featured in the Katie's Corner. She's had opinions that we've gone back and forth. Jacob's kind of had a rebuttal. It's a fun thing. Go check out some older podcasts. that we've done before, just a little segment. But Katie has been on a mission trip to India, and she was there for, I don't know, like 6 months. But she came back and she just like inundated our house with Indian food and Indian culture. And so she took me to like a local Indian restaurant and introduced me to like curry and like their whole like the way that they do chicken in a million different ways. And I was really opened up to the world of spices, that's for sure.
Yeah.
um but anyways, literally since then, like I enjoyed it that day that she took me, and I've liked Indian food ever since. It is, I mean, their food does tend to be on the spicier side. You can go no spicy, of course, but I like a little bit of spice. But anyways, I also like don't want to butcher any pronunciations of food dishes today, so I'm gonna try to keep that to a minimum. Um, but this one dish is a pretty famous one. It's just like a butter chicken, and it typically like it look it's got like it looks like red sauce, but it's like it's basically just a form of and well I'll just say it comes with chicken and like sauce, and then it's also got like white rice or something, which is typical. And then also with Indian meals, like you'll always get like a flatbread or something like that. And a
Yeah.
lot of times they'll use that flatbread to like get, you know, all the sauce. It's like the chicken's in or whatever. But also they don't really use silverware often in India, because also when she came back, she like was always eating with her hands. We didn't know what was going on with that.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool about them. Um, but yeah, so there's also these things called Samoas, which is like veggie dumplings. Those are pretty good. But if you haven't tried Indian food, I highly recommend it. Don't just think, oh, it's like spicy, I might not like it. They're all just about curry. That's not true. There's a lot of different options that you can get, you know, as far as like dumplings. It might even surprise you. They got some good flatbreads, and obviously chicken in many different ways and all types of scale on the hot scale at least. But yeah, Indian food would be coming in at number 5.
Nice, nice. That's a good
Have
pick.
you have you had
In,
some Indian food before?
I have not. So I'm actually that's actually a good segue into how I want to preface my list. I was talking, me and Nick were talking off air about this, and then as I was doing research over the past little while surrounding this episode, I learned that I have not eaten that many international foods, and I'm not very I don't know what's the word. I'm not very diverse when it comes to like my food options, apparently, because there were a lot of international foods out there that I've heard of
Right.
that I realized that I've never eaten or I've never tried in any kind of case.
Yeah.
And I guess that's because like I'm the kind of guy who like I go on a cruise that has like this plethora of all kinds of international foods, and I
Over
spring
them
right for
chicken
like the
tendies.
cheeseburgers and the chicken tenders and stuff.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm gonna say. So I have not eaten Indian food. It's not on my list. I've heard of a lot of Indian dishes and stuff, and it's definitely something that I would want to try. So
Butter chicken and veggie dumplings. There you go.
butter chicken and veggie dumplings. That's my first
Uh-huh.
option when I go. So here's how I'm gonna preface. My number 5 is gonna be a little bit weird. So because I have eaten so little international foods, my number 5, because I literally couldn't come up with 5 that I've tried. My number
Yeah.
5, I have eaten before. I have eaten this type of food, but it's one that I really, really don't like. It's an international food that I am not a fan of. And
Yeah.
so my number 5 would probably be a lot lower than a lot of other international foods that I just haven't tried yet. So I'm just prefacing that before I go. 4 through 1, I
Yeah.
like all of those. That'll be different, and I'll get to
Right.
that. But that's just a little weird thing. If we were including America, like American food,
Right.
American food would probably be my number 5,
Yeah.
but or higher. I'm not sure. But my number 5 is Greek food, and
Okay.
there's a little shout out here to Sean. If you
Hey,
remember, was it Sean, Nick,
did he
that
take
we
you to get Greek food?
no, did Sean recommend? No, 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 it wasn't Sean. Still shout out to Sean. I love you. But who
Word.
recommended that like super bougie Greek place that we ate at that one time? Uh
Mm.
was it Josh?
Was it
Who
in?
we went and ate at
We
it, and
went to
we
eat at a Greek food place.
Yeah, you don't remember? It was like we sat outside and it was kind of cold. I think it was after we recorded an episode, and it was like this really trendy looking Greek place, and we got these bowls with you don't remember this? This was
Was
you.
I there?
Yes, I did this with you.
Oh,
Anyway,
oh yes, dude. I was when you came to my house.
yes, it was in. Okay,
Yes.
was it
Yes. It was a Reed actually. He's
Reed
one
is
of
who it was.
yeah.
Shout out to freaking Reed
Shout out to
for
Reed. He actually listens to these a good bit. He might
he
catch
does
this.
this
Yeah.
whole for the last like minute and a half. Reed has been going. That was me. That was me. I
Yeah,
was the one who
probably.
recommended that place. Well,
Yeah.
Reed, you're an awesome guy, but I freaking hated that place. I've had
Yeah,
Greek
dude.
food.
What is that place called?
I
I
can't
forgot.
remember, but I'm sure people love it. I'm sure it's a great restaurant.
It was I think the problem with that place though is because it was a little bit like we use this word when international foods try to like get made in bulk here in America, and that's Americanized. So I
Mm,
think a lot of times with like we see it with Mexican restaurants all the time where like we literally will
yeah,
say this Mexican restaurant is like too Americanized, which just
yeah,
means like in a way like it's just basic. It's not as authentic, you know. There's
yeah,
not as
yeah,
much love in the food.
yeah.
Um, but I think that was the problem with that restaurant is that it was just too Americanized.
Well, that
Um,
was one thing, but I've also had Greek food in other scenarios before that is like similar. And man, I like it's one of those things where I almost feel like I got food poisoning from it because every time I think about Greek food, it makes me like
you think
want
about
to
that day.
it makes me want to vomit. And I don't just think about that
It
day.
was
I
a
went
healthier
to
option though. That's why we did it.
Yes, it is a healthier option. Greek food is good for you, but I actually a couple months after that, like back in September, I went to this conference with work, and one of the
Uh-huh.
nights at a conference, I don't know why they did this at a conference, but they like served Greek food as dinner for one
Really
of the nights, and
nice.
I was like, "Oh, I don't like the taste. It makes my stomach feel super weird. Doesn't make it hurt necessarily. I just feel really weird after I eat it." And me and you both remember we felt so
Yeah,
weird after we
we
ate it
did.
that night.
Yeah.
So I won't spend too much time on it, but Greek food would be lower, a lot lower than probably other foods that I just haven't
Okay.
tried yet. But that's my number
Yeah.
5, Greek food. Let's go ahead and get to your number 4.
All right. My number 4 is kind of a combo of it's Asian food. I'll go ahead and say that, but Chinese and Japanese. Not to be confused with
Oh,
each other.
you
Um,
combine them.
yeah, I combine them.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I,
That's fair. No,
just
that's
because
fair.
I have better ones, I guess, in my
Sure,
opinion.
sure.
I only have 5, you know, man. But
Top
yeah, so
5, top 5.
Chinese and Japanese are are the same number 4 for me. Basically, I mean, obviously, like everybody knows hibachi, so I was basing a lot of this off of hibachi, which is Japanese. Um, because Japanese tends to grill things more, while like Chinese ends up being more like your stir fry.
Right.
Um, but also like Chinese uses a lot. They incorporate a lot more different meats and whatnot. And then Japanese tends to be a little bit more of your healthier type foods, but Japanese again does the grilling, and that's why it's hibachi because they do the grilling in front of you, um, you know, on the flat surface. But anyways, definitely hibachi would be like why I'm choosing Chinese and Japanese here at number 4. Um, but I mean, I don't know what the place. You remember the place that we used to go to in Toccoa? What's that place called?
Oh, I know. It's on my list. I'm going to
Oh, it
mention
is.
China Lynn.
I,
Are you talking
China
about China
Lynn,
Lynn?
bro.
Dude,
Yeah,
I freaking love China Lynn.
but but see, that's the type of place that I think of like when it comes to Chinese.
Yeah.
Is like more of like your takeout, like maybe even Panda Expressy. But like that's like what I think about Chinese, and then when I think about Japanese, I think of like hibachi.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
kind of like I could go for either one of them at any different time, like always ready for both. Um, but yeah, so
If you had
Chinese
to choose
Japanese coming
though,
in. If I had to
gun,
choose,
gun to your head, Chinese or
um,
Japanese?
I'd probably go with maybe Chinese more because hibachi sometimes just messes me up in ways that the
Ooh,
listeners don't need to know, you know?
brutal.
Brutal.
Okay, that's a good segue. So I did not
It
combine
is.
them. Well, actually, I don't know why I said that. I did not combine Japanese and Chinese. So my number
Yeah.
4 is actually Japanese food.
Nice.
And so a lot of the things that you mentioned, Japanese is mostly known for hibachi. And so
Right.
we have a local place around here that me and my wife like to go to a lot, and it's called Little Japan. And I usually get like my favorite thing to get there is hibachi, um, like hibachi chicken, and I do the
Yeah.
hibachi because I don't eat gluten, and so like teriyaki sauce and most soy sauce has wheat in it, and so
Yeah.
when they cook it hibachi, they don't cook it with any sauce, and so I'll do that, and I'll add some like gluten free soy sauce or yum yum sauce or something like that. But I do
That's
it.
what I forgot to mention. What I eat with it.
Yum, everybody loves the yum yum sauce, and so
Dude, yum yum sauce.
I usually do mine with broccoli and onions. It's just like the perfect
Mm.
combination for
Yeah.
me. But another reason I love Japanese food so much is because of sushi. So sushi is primarily Japanese,
Yeah.
and I am a big sushi fan. And so I used to,
Really.
so I have a buddy. If he's listening, I'm not sure. Shout out Dawson. But me and him used to like exclusively, not every single time, but we would just make these sushi runs. We would go and try these different sushi places because we both loved it. And
Nice.
I got a couple for you sushi peeps out there. I've got a couple rolls that are my favorite. If
Uh-huh.
you speak this language, but I love like a traditional eel roll. Chicken tempura roll is really good. The Philadelphia roll is like cream cheese, avocado, and cucumber, and then salmon, and it's like super good. And all of that stuff
Ooh.
separately sounds like I want to die, but for some reason, when you roll it
That's
up
how it
with
just sounded to
raw
me.
fish, it's fantastic. And then the dragon roll is really good, and that's also
Nice.
got like an avocado.
So are these rolls like specific to that place, or is that like just internationally known that like the like you can go to any sushi place and like you can get the California roll, or
Yes. So mostly the latter. Most sushi places have probably like 10 to 12 rolls that are just like
everybody
well-known
knows
rolls
them?
that
Yeah.
everybody has. They're not named that because of the restaurant. They're named that because of the ingredients in the roll. And so like a
Okay.
restaurant would make their own California roll, like a specific
Gotcha.
restaurant, but it
Makes
would
sense.
traditionally be the same
I just
ingredients
like
and
I
stuff.
haven't ventured deep into sushi. One because like I think a lot of it is I'm just grossed out by the fact of what's going on with it.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
have I
It's
have tried a
risky.
couple. The one that I have had and liked, I think it was called Crazy Boy or something like that.
Mhm.
I don't. It's probably specific to the restaurant that I went to, but it was literally just like grilled chicken or it was like fried chicken or something like that in a
Yeah.
roll, and that's all I
Yeah.
remember it. But
Yeah.
I was like, that tasted good. But
I've actually ventured down into the deepest, darkest place in my life and eaten Ingles sushi before, which was a weird time. I think shout out Sean again. I think I ate Ingles sushi with Sean.
you know what?
I'm
That
gonna have
sounds
to.
right. I was there too.
Were you there too? It
Yeah,
was in freaking
we
Nick
all went and
Greenfield's
got lunch from
office,
Ingles.
and we ate sushi from Ingles.
I feel like I
Dude,
remember
Ingles
that.
lunch freaking slaps, man. I'm
Shout
gonna
out
mention them.
Ingles.
I'm gonna mention them a little bit later, but that's my number 4, Japanese food.
Nice. That's good. That's good. Um, dude, we're kind of rocking and rolling.
Yeah, let's do it. What's the number 3, my man?
Dude, number 3 for me. This is a fun one. You ain't ready for it.
Oh, I'm not.
Number 3 for me is my trip to Europe.
Oh no.
So, listeners, I went on a trip to Poland and Germany, and mainly in Poland. I was on a choir trip with our college that Jacob and I went to. But while
Big
I was
choir
there,
guy.
big choir guy, heck yeah, man. Where were you? You weren't in choir, bro. Pull up,
Yeah, no, I know. I wasn't. I wasn't.
dude. What's up? What's up with it? But anyways, I ate. I mean, obviously, the whole time we were there, we were eating Poland food, and uh, we were in. We were mainly in Poland for the most of it, and we were in Germany for a little bit. But anyways, mainly just ate Poland and ate Poland, ate Polish food. we ate Poland. Oh man. But anyways, there was we I'm trying to explain this and like so I don't have to like take forever to explain this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
Okay. You got it.
Basically, yeah, I got this. Um we were there because if you haven't seen this movie, I think it's The Princess Diaries, where basically a girl over in America finds out that she's like royalty in another country. Well, this basically happened to a family here in America that like one of our professors from our college knows. And so they like immediately became like royal in Poland. And
Oh,
so he also
wow.
had a heart for music and ministry. And so that's what, so we went over there being hosted by like a Polish royal family.
That's wild.
And so while we were there, we were getting treated to essentially like the best foods of Poland. And so we even went to like a royal ball, and like there literally was like a whole freaking pig on a stick on a table. Like it was like full size pig, just like with the apple in its mouth, like the way you
Oh
see
my
it in
God.
the movies. Yeah, it was crazy, man. And like just like the long like sausage, things like
Yeah.
hanging from like the walls.
It's literally like stuff you only see in movies unless you've
It
been.
exactly was, and it's
Yeah.
just it was crazy. But anyway, so the I would say the quality of food that I had was probably like top of the line for Poland.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of meats. It there was this one soup. I think it's Szczezinina. But it's a Polish soup, and it contains duck blood and a blend of sugar and vinegar,
Oh
which
my
like
God.
widens your eyes.
Sign
But
me up.
literally, it's basically just like a Minnesota soup. Like that's like what it looks like and tastes like. At least compare it to here. But yeah, they pretty much like they gave us that before like every meal that we had. So I got used to it and it was pretty good. So that was definitely memorable for me. And then also being in Germany, they had a pretty darn good cheeseburger. I remember that. I was like, why am I eating a cheeseburger in Germany? But it was like one of the best cheeseburgers I've ever had. So it makes sense.
Does Germany have, I've always wondered because I've heard this, but do they have like really good chocolate, like chocolate desserts and treat? Like I've just heard that German chocolate is really good.
That is a thing I feel like, especially because of maybe people know what is it, Haagen Dazs or something, the ice cream
Yes.
chocolate. That's
Yeah.
German. I
But
will
like I
say,
like German chocolate cake is like a really popular dish.
yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
I will say, yeah, we definitely had a decent amount. Again, we were like, anytime we ate, we had like a full course meal. It was like you got like the soup, the main course, and like the dessert was typically like chocolate cake. It was probably something like that. Um, but man, they are huge on desserts over there in Europe. It was crazy. Like every corner in every city had like some sort of dessert place. Like every
Really?
city that we were in Poland, like we were in this big city called Krakow, and literally every corner was like an ice cream shop. It was crazy, and like just like
Wow.
pastries and all that kind of stuff. It was like they love their ice cream.
Dude,
Um,
I do know this about Europe in particular, but probably a lot of other countries international too. I met a guy who was a pastor. He was a pastor in England, and he was a church plant. So he came over to America and planted a church. And he was so astounded at the way that like Americans treated like eating, like the way that we went about eating. And he was so surprised, particular, obviously at like our weight, like the like it's just the known fact that America has a lot more people who are overweight and than like overseas. But he was so surprised at like the fast food phenomenon and like like overseas. And I think you can probably back this up, but like sitting down and eating is so much more of a, like, you don't do it to like survive, or like if you're rushed or something, you don't go like through a fast food and get like a cheeseburger or something like that. Like sitting down and eating is like a legit thing. And like you only eat out in restaurants overseas when it's like an occasion and that kind of thing. And you do a lot of, am I making sense? Like the vibe, what he was telling me was, go ahead.
It's a level of just like intentionality with your food.
Yeah.
Which is what, yeah, I mean, that is the thing. I mean, obviously they have fast food and all that kind of stuff, but it's not as extreme. Yeah, that's for sure.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, they're also like the portion sizes are pretty different.
Yeah.
Like we've all probably heard this before that like, our smalls are like, the equivalent to like some of their larges in Europe or
Yeah.
something. Maybe
Yeah.
not like Great Britain or anything, but
We do it big here. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, go big or go home. But yeah, and also another thing that was pretty interesting is that like they don't really do ice, like in drinks.
I have heard that. Yes, I've actually
Yeah,
heard that before, like tea and
um,
stuff like that.
like anything,
Yeah.
like getting a water, or like especially a soda, like they couldn't comprehend that like one of us like want ice. It's like
Yeah.
why would you want ice? Like that's just gonna like water down your drink. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
even make sense. But so
Different
definitely
culture,
some
man.
different culture. But yeah, it was good, and needless to say that I enjoyed the food while I was over there.
Nice.
Um, and it was great. So
That's a good pick.
that was a long way of saying Poland and Poland and Germany food.
Yeah, yeah. We'll clock that in under I guess we can't say European food because there's some other countries in Europe who have a
Yeah.
little bit different food, but that's a good pick. All right, so my number three has been mentioned as well. My number three is going to be Chinese food. And the reason I separated those two is because the reason I separated Chinese and Japanese is
Yeah.
because Chinese food and Japanese food to me are very different in a lot of ways. And the reason that I have Chinese food higher, and I actually battled back and forth with this a little bit because I do
Uh-huh.
love both of them. And my main reason for wanting Japanese higher than Chinese was sushi, but I decided to flip it back and put Chinese food higher because I just like I feel like I'm always craving Chinese food and I feel like I'm not always craving Japanese food. Does that make sense? Like I feel like I have to be in a certain mood to eat
Yeah.
Japanese food, but
I think it's
we
literally because of like the healthier level. Like I think Japanese food just probably uses less everything, you know?
most likely. But I feel like the Chinese food that I really like is like the most unhealthy type of that's
Yeah,
just full of like
100%, of
a
course.
crap ton of SMG. But
Yeah.
so you
That's what I
said
was
it
looking for,
earlier.
SMG.
Yeah. So you said it earlier. One of my favorite places is this little Chinese place in Toccoa, Georgia
Finally.
called China Lin. And it like you feel like you're gonna get shot when you walk in this place. Like it is just this little hole in the wall place. But man, did I eat so much of that in college and the portions that they would give you for the price and everything. But let me go
Oh, it
through a
was
couple.
insane. You could get like a freaking two entrees, two sides for like $5, and
Yeah,
you'd fill up your
it
whole
was
little like.
wild, and like being poor college kids, it was like a gold
Of
mine.
course. Yeah.
And so I'm a big lo mein guy. That's another reason that I have Chinese food higher. I could
Lo
eat
mein.
lo mein by itself, and that's what he did. That's what it sounded like. That was good. And so, but like orange chicken, sesame chicken, like sweet and
I
sour
just gotta
chicken.
stop you right there. Orange chicken from Panda Express, hands down, one of the greatest things ever to experience.
Panda Express is another one too. Panda Express is such an underrated quote unquote fast
It's that
food place.
SMG.
Yeah, man. But like Mongolian beef and that kind of stuff, man. I just love Chinese food. And one of my favorite things
I'm
to
with you.
do as a kid, shout out to Matthew if he's listening, my brother. We used to go to the
Shout out, Matthew.
mall. We used to go to the mall and the mall Chinese food. Oh my gosh. It was
Oh
like
yeah.
Christmas when our mom would take us there and we would get to eat the mall
What's
Chinese.
funny about those mall places is that they would like always be busy, of course, but they still would somehow manage to like change every month.
Yeah.
Like it's like it was called something different and like new people, new management. It's like, why y'all keep going out of business?
Yeah,
Like what's
never probably
changing?
because all of their like health codes were probably like C minuses or something.
100%.
But I never learned the name of the places. I just only loved them for the food.
Oh yeah, I couldn't tell you one name of a Chinese place in a mall.
I can smack Chinese mall food like it's nobody's business. So Chinese
Smack
food
it.
is there's look to those like food connoisseur people out there who have eaten a bunch of different foods. There's probably a ton of Chinese dishes that are so much better than mall Chinese food. I'm aware of that. I'm just telling you why I love it as a greasy
Hey,
American, and
you
that's
ever
why
had
I love it.
ragoons?
So No, I don't know what that is.
You haven't had ragoons?
Did you say raccoon?
Hey, you ever hit that raccoon on the side of the road and just leave it, and then you were like, wait a second, I could take this back home and cook it up and turn it into some.
Dude, you don't
thing.
even know how often that probably happens around where I live.
Oh, welcome to Georgia.
Chinese food is my number
No,
3.
ragoons with an R. Ragoons.
No, I have not
Ragoons.
eaten a ragoon. I don't know what
You
that
get
is.
them at they're like cheese filled like little thingy mabobber dumpling type things, but
Oh,
you get them
okay.
at like Panda Express or
Oh,
like
yeah. I know what you're
They're like
talking
at
about.
the end, like once you order your food and you get towards the end, you're like, I don't know what the rest of this stuff is.
Yeah.
That's the rest of the stuff.
Funny story about Panda Express. When I was a kid, my dad told me that they served panda there and that Chinese people ate pandas. And so
Dang.
long
Shout
story with
out,
my
Dad.
family,
Shout out,
but
Dad.
when I was growing up, I didn't live with my biological father. I lived with my stepdad. And so I remember he told me that, and then I went to my stepdad and I was like, dude, you know that Panda Express,
Oh
they
no.
have pandas there. You could eat panda. And he was like, who told you that? And I was like, my
Oh
dad did. And
no.
he's like, no, that's not true at all. And I went back to
Oh
my
no.
dad and I was like, you lied
What's
to
wrong
me?
with
And he
me?
was like, you believed me? He was like, you stupid little kid. No, he didn't
Oh
say that,
my
but I'm sure he was
gosh.
thinking that. So that's a
Dang.
funny little tiny Jacob story.
Well, you turned into a genius. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So Chinese food is my number 3. What is your number 2, Nick?
Nice. My number 2 is Mexican food.
Okay, my number 2 is Mexican
Hey,
food. So we can
yeah.
we can
Let's
talk about it tonight.
let's
Shout
tag
out
team it.
to the Bell household. We do Taco Tuesday
Shout
at the
out,
Bell
Bell.
household, and we
Yeah.
are recording this on a Tuesday. So
Hey, did you just eat some
tacos,
tacos?
baby. I'm full of it.
Dang.
Full of
Bro,
it.
you are full of shout outs tonight. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's like your
Sorry.
10th shout out.
I'm a big shout out guy. I can only
Big
shout out
shout out
so
guy. That's awesome, bro. I love it. We also want to shout out to the listeners right now. You guys are
You
what's keeping us
guys.
going.
We're glad
And
you're
gals. Here. Today's actually International Women's Day. Speaking of
here. It
gals.
is. Yes. As of
Shout out
today,
women.
we are recording women. Thank you so much. You guys are so
For
loved and
being
appreciated.
women. You are loved.
Seriously, you guys have done so much for this country and everything.
Yeah.
Well, for
Definitely.
the world, not just this country, but for the world.
Yeah. Obviously, joking aside, seriousness, that is 100% true.
Yeah. If there's anything that I love more than food,
but speaking
it's
of
women.
women also really like food, and sometimes it's hard to get them to pick which food they want to eat. Let's acknowledge that.
What do they
But,
always
hey,
want to eat, Nick?
If there's something that you can't go wrong with telling a woman where to eat is Mexican food. Let's get back on that track.
Chicks love Mexican food.
Dude, I also love Mexican food. That is why it's number 2 on my list.
Same.
One of my favorite things, we kind of talked about when things are get Americanized, and I mentioned this earlier, but Mexican food is something that happens the most with that is just getting so Americanized because there's literally a Mexican restaurant on like every corner, at least where we are in the South of America.
There's a reason for that, though. we love that crap.
We love Mexican food. There's a reason for that. But so it's fun trying to find which places are authentic and aren't, and there definitely are. There's definitely some hole in the wall places. There's actually one by my old house that I used to go to that was definitely very authentic, and it tasted different, very different. But I was like, oh, this is what it's actually supposed to taste like. But I will say this: I absolutely love getting Mexican pork. Like if a Mexican restaurant has a pork option, I will always get it.
Wow.
Like just getting it in like a burrito or a taco or like anything.
Yeah.
Like if I see pork on the menu, I'm like, let me get that. And then secondly, you can't go wrong with like a taco salad bowl, like when the bowl is actually, also the taco, and you can just keep eating it.
Yes.
And then I know we were talking about Mexican food, but I did put this in my category of kind of Mexican food. It's Salvadorian food, which isn't Mexican, obviously, but because I only just wanted to allude to it for a second, is that Salvadorian food is actually pretty good. And if you ever see like those Salvadorian like bakeries and they're just in like a strip mall or something, and you're like, I don't like, because the name's probably like in Spanish, and you're like, yeah. I don't know, but like just try it. Go in there and you don't have to get a pastry, but there's a thing called pupusas. And like, have you ever had a pupusa? Maybe
I have not. I'm not.
Dude, they're great. So try a Salvadorian pupusa, and
okay.
That's my recommendation. But I only wanted to allude to that for a second. But yeah, so number 2 would still be Mexican food, and I got to go with pork and taco salad bowls.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So Mexican food is also my number two. And I'm pretty simple when it comes to Mexican food. It's just one of those things like Chinese food. There's rarely a time when I'm like not down to eat some Mexican food. And we locally here have some pretty, so where I live in a pretty small town, and you have to drive about 25 to 30 minutes to get to like the bigger cities that are around me. So a lot of times the nicer restaurants that we have here in town are usually like Mexican restaurants. And so
Yeah,
unless we want to eat fast food, a lot of times, so I eat a good bit of Mexican food. And man, I mean, what can I say? I like chicken,
it's
cheese,
all
and
them
rice,
chips, man.
which is just a classic. Just those three things mixed together. Sometimes there's some
Chicken, cheese,
dishes
and
that
rice.
have like chicken, cheese, like shrimp and rice, which is really good. Taco salads, like you said, I used to just eat like the shredded chicken taco salad, but
Yeah.
recently I've started eating the grilled chicken fajita taco salads
Oh,
that have like the bell peppers and stuff and onion. Oh
yeah.
man, it's super
That's
good.
good.
Um,
I think it's funny. I don't mean to cut you off.
no,
I
you're
think it's
fine.
funny also with Mexican food is that like a lot of times like people will rate the Mexican food based on their chips. It's like
Yes.
how good their chips are. It's like, have you ever been to that Mexican restaurant? Yeah, their chips are really good. That
Yeah.
means it's a good Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, for
Their
sure.
chips aren't too great. I'm probably not gonna go there.
Right. I also want to shout out too, which is in this category of Mexican food, like places like Moe's and Barbaritos and stuff, which is more of like a
Mm,
Tex-Mex kind of
yeah,
mixture. But like that food is so good, and that type of food is really good to eat for like a light lunch, or even if you want to do like a heavier dinner.
yeah.
Just for you local peeps that are listening to this pod, I just want to shout out a couple great local Mexican restaurants. Couple this place in town called Seven Luegas, Porto Nueve in Toccoa. Do you remember that place?
Hey, I do.
That place is legit. I like
That
it.
place
And
was definitely more authentic than most.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It had some really good dishes, and then a place called Casa Grande around here is one that I really love. But yeah, Mexican food is just it's just really great. I mean, what other place can you go and they give you chips and salsa? Literally no other
right.
place.
I think Mexican food can be summed up in one word. Do you know what that word is, Jacob?
What would it? What is it?
Queso.
Okay. Give me a bowl and a straw, and that's what I'm eating that night. I'm gonna
Yeah,
freaking drink the queso.
yeah. I
All
go
right,
on
so
phases with queso.
huh?
I go on phases with queso, meaning like sometimes I just want queso all the time. Sometimes I'm like, nah,
Oh man, I never don't want queso. I love queso.
really. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right,
It
let's do this. Nick, what is, I think that our number ones are the same.
are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably make sense at this point now that I think about it.
What is your number one?
My number one is Italian food.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, number one for
Yes.
me is Italian food also. But Nick, you have some Italian background and heritage, right?
I would say more in heritage, not necessarily background.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, my last name is Mottola, Mottoola. It is. I know that it's a city in Italy. It's also like a family crest. I'd love to dig into it deeper. Just haven't got around to it. We'll see. Um,
Matola.
but yeah, my grandfather is 100% Italian. Um, all my dad's side of the family lives almost an hour outside of New York into New Jersey. So if you can imagine, you remember that show Cake Boss on TLC?
Oh yeah, big cake boss guy.
Yeah, Big Cake Boss guy. Well, just that like the Italian, like New Jersey, like culture vibes, just kind of loud a little bit, but also like I don't know, man.
I thought Nick
It's
was
that
about to
that
be
vibe.
like, I thought Nick was about to be like, fun fact, my great uncle is the cake boss.
Fun fact. Getting to that point, actually. No, I'm just kidding. But basically, like that's kind of my family, honestly, up there up north. I don't get to see him much. Shout out, love him, miss him. But but yeah, so I just say like if you can imagine that show like Cake Boss, like that's sort of what my family is like up there. But with that to say, I don't get to eat their authentic meals all the time since I'm down in literally South Georgia.
Right.
Um, but Italian, Italian food is my favorite. Um, and specifically good old classic chicken parm.
Ooh,
Chicken parm is the goat of all goats. And then also Italian pizza. Hello, anybody like if you're getting pizza, you gotta get Italian pizza, of course. Um, get out of here with that like Chicago. But like also like let's be honest, like Chicago and New York pizza, whatever you want to say, like who's better? Like it's Italian. Like let's get it right, people. Um, but yeah, I specifically like white pizza. I don't know if you ever had a white pizza. Um,
like with the Alfredo sauce
yeah, yeah.
instead of
It's
tomato
got like
sauce.
it'll have like basil on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, dude. White pizza is the best. But Italian food, man. I and chicken parm is the way to go. Get something maybe eggplant, but you can always mix it up, of course. But yeah, eating like just a grilled chicken breast and some pasta and some marinara, like I could probably eat that every day. Be
Nice,
straight up.
nice.
Um, Fun fact before you start getting going on Italian, um, fun fact is that they in the Italian culture they eat their salad last. Um, so like they'll have their meal and then they eat salad last instead of first because typically it's like everybody knows to eat salad first and then go from there. But it's more of like a okay, like now I'm getting my stomach to settle down, and so then they'll eat salad last.
Right,
Um,
right.
Also, I alluded to Cake Boss talking about desserts, Italian cannolis, and all that stuff. Man, there's just so much goodness going on with Italian. Like,
No, dude,
Jacob,
Italian. If you
why
want
do
to
you love Italian food?
if you want to let me jump in, yeah, dude, Italian
Yeah,
is one of those things where, well, this was an easy number one for me, and the main reason that
yeah, same.
Italian is number one for me is because we'll probably do this list one day, but I'll go ahead and spoil it. My favorite food of all time is spaghetti. Spaghetti is my absolute favorite food ever, and
With a
it's
meatball or no meatball? The
both
spaghetti?
honestly, but definitely meat. Like I like the sauce to have like like beef in it. I don't like just noodles
Yeah,
and like tomato sauce. And I've never had like authentic like spaghetti from Italy or anything like that. And I'm sure it's incredible. I haven't had it yet.
yeah.
But I just love. There's not a lot of spaghetti that I don't like at a
Mm.
different restaurant or whoever makes it or something like that. And spaghetti is just incredible. And then not far behind it, probably in top five for me would be pizza. You talked about pizza. I Pizza is one of those things where it's like I almost don't care about toppings because you can load that thing up with just about whatever, and for some reason I'll just eat it and I won't even care. I'm a folder too.
Pineapples on pizza?
I can do it. I can do it. I don't prefer it. My
Mm.
wife, on the other hand, freaking loves pineapples on pizza. But I'm a taco pizza
Maddie,
eater
stop listening to this podcast right now. Get
where
off
I
this
fold it.
podcast. I don't want you on it anymore. I'm
Like
kidding. I'm
where I
kidding.
fold the pizza or whatever and eat it like a taco.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I eat it. And just man, there's so many different restaurants and things like that. Unfortunately, there's probably like a lot of good, nice Italian restaurants like that are in the city and stuff like that that I haven't gotten to
Yeah.
try but yet. That have really good Italian food. So like, I probably eat something like Olive Garden the most, which is essentially the fast food just about of Italian.
I feel like we also like here in America, especially where we are at, we make Italian food out to be like kind of the bougie food,
Yeah.
you know? Like it's just said like I don't know. Like it's just like if you're going somewhere nice, oh you like getting Italian.
Right,
It's like
right. Yeah.
it's
It's
like
like
you're
a
taking a girl out to get Italian or you know what I mean?
yeah, like, oh, y'all are going to eat Italian. Hey,
Yeah.
no,
Oh.
dude, but just about any combination of Italian food. I love tomato sauce. I love Alfredo sauce. I love noodles. I love
Here, question for
chicken.
you.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Marinara or Alfredo?
I probably have to go with marinara, although I do love Alfredo.
Mm-hmm.
But
Glad you said
marinara,
that.
I think
I
is.
was gonna roast you.
Oh, you were.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Alfredo because you said you liked the white pizza. Um, but No,
Uh,
I love all different kinds of Italian food. I won't speak at nauseum with it. Italian food is just really really good. It's definitely number one for me. Italy
right.
is a dream trip, and 80% of
Same.
the reason why it's a dream trip is because of the food. I would just love to go and just eat the
Oh
whole time.
man.
So
And that's, I mean, yeah, it is an easy number one because like it also has like the best in all categories, aka, you know, from your dessert to main dish to pizza to like it's just Italian food's got it all, man.
it's
And
got it
that is
all.
why it is
It's
our number one.
fantastic.
You just like nobody's gonna argue with Italian being number one. And if
Yeah,
you
for
are
sure.
and you do want to argue that, you should let us know.
Let
Because
us
Jacob and
know.
I would love to hear why you think Italian food is not number one.
Yeah, and we would also love to hear what you would have in place of Italian food and why.
Most definitely.
We love to hear you guys and your comments and stuff, whether you text us individually or if you don't know us, you reach out to us on social media. We appreciate all of it. We want to know what your top 5 or at least your number 1
True.
of international food is.
Speaking of speaking of all the shout outs that you've been given and getting feedback, I have been getting a couple texts this past week about our pod in general. Specifically, I don't know if I've mentioned Josiah before, but he's one of my friends. He went to Toccoa. You might know, might not. But he just recently listened to our coffee one, and he said that in his head, he said I would get racetrack coffee, but that's about it. He said that he like said that in his head before. Like I guess I actually said that about gas station coffee, and then like I said that, and he's like, "Oh crap, that's crazy."
Synced up.
Um, yeah, and that he also worked at McDonald's, so he got used to really liking their coffee. And he said Chick-fil-A is not, but it makes sense since I was working at Chick-fil-A. So maybe that's why I went with Chick-fil-A coffee, and he also went with the McDonald's coffee because we just got accustomed to it.
Yeah,
But
for
so
sure.
shout out Josiah, thanks for listening, man. Love you.
Shout out to the Ranker fam. We love you guys so much.
Yep, keep hitting us up. We'll randomly, share your opinions because this is what we're out here to do. We're just, again, a couple of best friends ranking things, having fun, and we want to hear what you guys want to rank, and we want to hear what you guys have to say and all the good stuff. So that's what we
Yeah.
got today. International foods. What'd you think, Jacob?
Yeah, this was fun. This was a
You
nice
gotta
little
go try some stuff, my guy.
I know, dude. I've got to spread out a little bit more. This is motivation for me. This has been a nice.
Did you have any like honorable mentions or stuff that you want to try?
Oh yeah, definitely stuff. I'd love to try Indian food. You mentioned that one. Caribbean food is something that I would love to try.
Yeah.
There's a lot of English dishes that I think that I've heard of that I think would be really good. French food. I think French food is probably really, really good. Paris is kind of known for food as well.
Ratatouille.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to French food, bro. Paris.
Well, dude, I did research and there's not one French dish that I've tried.
Dang.
And so
I probably hadn't
put
either
that,
though.
I couldn't put that on my list, but I'd love
I also
to
want
branch
to
out.
shout out Thai food. Have you had any like Thai food?
I have
like,
not. No.
There's
But I've
actually
heard
a
Thai
lot
food.
like a lot of people like Thai food, and there's a lot of Thai places around us.
Yeah, I've heard Thai is good. I've heard Thai is good.
I've been told recently here. Shout out Bailey. She's been telling me that I need to get on some Thai food grind. But I keep telling her, I'm like, well, why don't you take me then? But she hasn't, so we'll see about that. Maybe I'll get some Thai food and I'll let the Ranker fam know.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know. But guys, that's going to be it for this episode. We've had so much fun ranking our top 5 international foods with you. Once again, follow us on social media, reach out to us, and rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Again, we can't exaggerate enough how helpful that is for us. And so we've got some really good episodes coming up for you guys soon. I'm really excited about all of them.
We're getting prepared for one.
Yeah, we've got
some preparation.
We've got one coming up in a couple weeks that's going to be a big one, and then we've got a couple guests lined up that I'm excited about, and so we've got some good content coming up with you guys. So
yeah, we're excited. This is fun. This has been fun. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, bro. But
no, you're fine. You're fine, man.
This has been the Rankers fam.
Yeah.
What you got, Jacob? We'll
see you next time, guys.
We'll see you next time.
We love you, Ranker fam.
We'll
Peace
catch
out.
you in the next one.